Good morning, folks. How are y'all? This is Country Cooking. We told you we was going to make you another video, so we're going to make you another video today. I'm doing breakfast this morning. Just sounded good. I thought about doing biscuits out in the Dutch oven, but I got to think we got pretty good wind kicking here this morning here in the great state of Kentucky. So I figured, well, I'm going to just hold off on that, and we'll do a segment sometime on some sourdough biscuits or just regular homemade biscuits and them cooked in the Dutch oven. So what we're going to do this morning, I'm cooking sausage, bacon, and I'm going to make some homemade brown gravy. I read the other day where somebody had posted on Facebook, and they was wanting to know how to make gravy with that old package stuff, which I mean, it's fine. Don't get me wrong. I like it. But they were afraid to try to make homemade gravy. And that's the main thing today, which I've got to get my bacon and stuff cooked up because I'm going to use my bacon grease to make my gravy with. So y'all check back with us right here, and we're going to do some cooking. All right, y'all. I'm going to cook my sausage a little different today. I love cooking outside. I took and said that in the first video we done. I love cooking outside. I love cooking underneath this old pecan tree right here. This sausage right here, I just picked it up the other day. It is fresh sausage from a local person that I buy sausage and stuff from. This is fresh pork sausage, homemade. I'm gonna cook it right here on the grill. Now let me set my plate out of the way. Get ready and get my bacon right here started. I love breakfast. I can eat breakfast any time of the day. I can eat breakfast for breakfast, I can eat breakfast for lunch, or I can eat breakfast for supper. I like breakfast. But like I said, the main thing we're going to focus on today, right here in a little bit, is making this homemade gravy. My mother and my grandmother both showed me back a long time ago how to make gravy. And folks, the first time I tried making homemade gravy, it was nasty. I mean, I'm just gonna flat tell you, it was nasty. It was gross. My dog that I had wouldn't even eat the stuff. I mean, it was that bad. It's one of those things. Gravy is almost like making a roux when you're cooking Cajun food, and we're gonna do some of that later on. But when you're cooking Cajun food, a lot of your Cajun foods, you have to make a roux, what the Cajuns call a roux, whenever you're making some of your dishes. And that roux ain't nothing but flour and grease is all it is. It's something you've got to stay with. It's something that you can't just put it on and walk off and leave it, because it's going to burn, folks. I guarantee it will burn. But we'll get to that right here just in a little bit on the gravy. I'm fixing to get my bacon ready right here. Now the bacon is store-bought. It's Jimmy Dean. I like old Jimmy Dean. There ain't nothing wrong with Jimmy Dean. But this is what we're going to be cooking bacon-wise. I've got my skillet over here warming up, and I'm cooking in cast iron today, folks. I am a cast iron cooking idiot. To me, there is nothing no better than cooking with cast iron. Get this bacon open. It's trying to be difficult on me. I like it by itself. I like BLTs. I just like bacon. But I'm gonna cut this bacon in strips. That way it'll fit in my cast iron skillet a little better. Now, I like getting my cast iron hot. Not screaming hot, but I like getting it hot. That way I can get a good cook started on this. This wind is nuts today. I'm gonna turn my fire up underneath that burner just a little bit. Get my bacon put over in the skillet. And this, oh, I'm already getting that sizzle, folks. I'm already getting that sizzle. Cutting them in smaller pieces like this too, it's a whole lot easier to slap on. All right, folks, if you look right here, Sissy, zoom in on this. I got me some skillet cooking in this skillet. Imagine that, I've got me some bacon cooking in this skillet right here. I took and turned cast iron. When you're cooking in cast iron, I'm gonna tell you, to me, there is nothing no better to cook in. But when you're cooking in cast iron, you've got to watch your heat, because cast iron will gain heat pretty quick, and not only will it gain heat pretty quick, it holds heat. So, you know, you can juice her up there, you know, and get your heat going on that thing, but you're going to have to cut it back, because if you don't, you're going to burn whatever you're cooking in there. Let's check these sausage out, folks. Oh, man. Got these sausages a cooking. And if you haven't ever tried sausage on the grill, and I know it sounds weird, but folks, y'all don't know what y'all missing. They ain't nothing like sausage cooked on the grill. It is good. To me, anything tastes better cooked on the grill anyways. But it is good. Yeah, I've got some fire licking up there from the hog fat in these sausage. We'll give them just a little bit of a turn. I don't want my sausage to burn. Kind of got to watch them though. That hog grease fire up now. But that's good stuff. Doctors tell you, well, you don't need to be eating that stuff. They don't know what's good. This is good. We decided we'd cook breakfast outside this morning too, because it is a beautiful day. We have finally gotten a break in the humidity. It has been hot here this past week. It has just been scorching hot. So we've gotten a little bit of a break in the humidity. It's nice today. It's warm, but here under the old pecan tree in the shade, you can't beat it. All right, folks. Got some of this sausage done. Look at here. Now, some people don't like their sausage cooked quite so hard. Myself, I kind of do. I'll tell you the reason why. And I said this last week on our last video we done whenever I was cooking those pork tenderloin. Beef is one of those things you can get by with not cooking it as hard. Pork is different. Pork is something that you need to cook it and get it done. Pork's something that a person aren't to play with. But that right there is about the way I like my sausage. Now, let's go over here and look at this bacon real quick. I want y'all to, oh, looky here. Look at this bacon. I tell you what, folks, you can't much beat that right there. I'm going to give all this a little bit of a turn again. We've kind of fast forwarded things a little bit, because the main thing I'm wanting to get to is this gravy. Gravy is something that you ought not be scared to cook. Something you ought not be scared to try to cook. You might not get it right the first time. That's fine. We're all human. There's a lot of things we don't get right the first time. That's part of life. That is part of what makes us human. I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit of a story. Folks, I got the rest of this sausage done off that grill. I want you to look at this. Look how good that looks. And smell, oh my gosh, if we had smell-o-vision, folks, wow, that would be awesome. But anyhow, I've got my sausage done. I'm still working on my bacon over here. I took and put me a paper towel down on my plate, put this on that way. This paper towel can kind of soak some of this grease up. The bacon grease and the sausage grease is good, but whenever I'm eating it, I don't want to be eating grease. So that's the reason why I put a paper towel down here. But I want to tell you a story. One of the reasons why I like breakfast so much is when I was a kid, we lived close to my dad's family. My dad's mom and dad, my grandma and grandpa, my great-grandma and grandpa on my dad's side. My mama's people, they all lived up in Indiana. So, you know, we was around them, but we wasn't around them as much as I was my dad's family. But whenever I was a kid growing up, my grandma Vernie, that woman, God rest her soul, I loved her to death. And I would go up and I'd spend the night with her. And to me, there was nothing no better than to go to great grandma's house, climb up at nighttime in that old feather tick bed. You just sink down in it and she'd pull them covers up over me. And I'd lay there and I'd sleep like a baby, folks. And then I'd wake up in the morning laying in that old bed and I could smell her cooking breakfast all through the house. And I'd get up and I'd come into the kitchen where she was at. She would have coffee ready. She would have some kind of meat, whether if it was bacon or sausage, maybe even fried bologna, folks. She would have eggs and oatmeal. She used those crystal wedding oats. And I never will forget that. To me, those were the best oats. I ain't got a thing against Quaker or any of the rest of them. But I don't know if it was the oats or just the love that that old woman put into them. But my gosh, folks, they was great. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like breakfast so much, is because when I sit down to eat breakfast, whether if it's, you know, in the morning for breakfast or even at supper at night, you know, I can think back and I can reminisce on going up there and spending the night with great grandma and then waking up the next morning and smelling breakfast cooking all through the house, folks. There ain't no better way to wake up in the mornings. All right, folks, we've got all of our bacon cooked up. Now my grill here is just a little out of level, so y'all bear with me. I didn't realize how level this thing was until I was getting ready to do this. But y'all, my bacon grease is hot. Got that bacon out there. My bacon grease is hot. And what I've got here is I have got, let me get it around here where we can see, a cup of flour. It's just a cup of regular flour. And what we want to do is we want to put this cup of flour in here. Now, what you're going to do is we want to brown this flour. And like I said, this is something that you've got to stay with, folks. Gravy is something you cannot walk away from. Once you get started, you have got to go with this stuff. And like I said, the first time you do it, you may not do it right, but that's all right. You just keep doing it. In these iron skillets, I use a whisk, is what I do. I'll use this whisk, and whenever I get through cooking my meat, whether if I'm making my gravy with sausage or whether if I'm making it with bacon grease, I will use a whisk, because by running this whisk around in the bottom of this skillet, it's going to deglaze my skillet. Now that we've got our gravy brown, we're going to come over here, and I have got a mixture of milk, fix you a quart jar, half quart jar of milk, half quart jar of water. And then I'm going to dump this in here and make a mess. And that's about all of it that I'm going to use. I'm going to set this out of the way right here. And then, folks, you want to stir this. And you want to keep stirring it and scrape the bottom of an iron skillet. Now, I wouldn't say that as far as Teflon. But now this old iron skillet right here, I'm going to scrape this bottom. I want to get everything unstuck off the bottom. I'm going to scrape it all over. And this is something, it takes a few minutes, folks. It's something that it's not an instant thing. It's not something that you're going to get right the first time you do it, more than likely. But it's just something that the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. There's nothing scary about doing homemade gravy. That packaged gravy, it's fine. I don't have a thing against it. I've ate a lot of it in my life. But now, my mom, my grandma, and my great-grandmother, they didn't make it packaged gravy. They made real gravy. They made the real stuff. And you keep stirring this. Keep that over just a little under of a medium heat, and keep stirring this, folks. You want to work your lumps out of it. And this whisk, it's perfect for working them lumps out of your gravy. Don't nobody like lumpy gravy. Lumpy gravy's nasty. I'm gonna have to level my grill, folks. I apologize for that. I got little chunks of bacon in this grease where I was cooking all that bacon, and I cooked 2 pounds of that bacon. We eat a lot of bacon. We'll eat on that all day. Now see how this is starting to thicken up a little bit? My gravy's starting to thicken up. Now some people like real thick gravy, some people don't. I myself, I don't. Cast iron, when it gets hot, it's getting hot, folks. You've got to watch your heat whenever you're making gravy. You have got to watch that heat or it'll get too hot on you. Now, I'm going to back my burner off. I'm turning it off because my gravy's getting thick. I want it to be thick, but I don't want it to be too thick. Now, cast iron, it's going to keep on cooking. That's what it's going to do. Now, when I get about that consistency right there, I'm going to take it over here to my bowl. I'm going to keep stirring my gravy. Now, I'm going to just pour my gravy right over into my bowl. I ain't going to worry about getting it all in there, because this old skillet's heavy and that handle is hot. I'll get it in my bowl. I'm going to mix him up a little bit more. I wanted to get it out of that cast iron because the longer it sits in there with that cast iron heated up, the hotter it's getting. And you want to get your gravy off. Now I'm going to put a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. I'm going to whisk that up. And folks, my gravy is done. We appreciate y'all watching us. If you like us, subscribe. We're going to do a video every week, something different. I'm kind of thinking on the lines of next week, we're going to do a peach cobbler in the cast iron Dutch oven over coals. I think even campers, I think it's something that everybody ought to know how to do. So next week we're going to do a peach cobbler out on the fire using coals, doing it in a Dutch oven. If you like this, subscribe to us. Give us some feedback of what you think. Any kind of feedback will be fine. But we thank y'all for coming to the Pecan Tree Cooking today, watching us, and y'all have a blessed and wonderful day.